Hey guys, Katie here, and today's layout is featuring a photo remake of the same pose about 11 years apart. Hi, I'm Katie Taylor at scrappinkaty.com, where I show you how to preserve your family's memories through the art of scrapbooking.
Okay, it is day 29 of Christy's Beautiful Life, 30 days of sketches. And I've only played around with one day, maybe two, I can't remember. But I had to play with day 29 because Michelle McCants made this sketch. Michelle is a dear friend of mine as well as my downline at Stampin' Up. And so I wanted to play with her sketch, and I had the perfect photos in mind. There are two photos, and they are of my brother and one of his niece and nephew. So this is our son, and then this is my niece. And this was taken, I believe, when they were probably 3 years old. And then this one was taken just a couple of summers ago. So you remember a couple of years ago, it may even still be a thing, where you kind of recreate the photos that you took. And so we did that. So you'll notice that my son's trying to do his arms the same way. And then, of course, my niece is trying to have her fingers in her mouth. Anyways, it's just super cute, and I wanted to go ahead and scrapbook those. Now, I've pulled out a smorgasbord of papers, mainly due to the colors in the photos. But I have pulled out the Enjoy the Ride bulk. This is one of the collections that came over to Stampin' Up! From Close to My Heart. So I'm using this pattern. You can see the cute little dragonflies on the other, or butterflies. And then I've also pulled out this zip strip because it has the blue in it. I've also pulled out these plaid, and I thought I pulled out a different one too, but I guess not. But I've pulled out these plaid patterns from Timeless Plaid, mainly again because of the colors in the photos, and I'm not sure which side I'm going to use of the greens and the blues. I'm not going to use that one, but also I kind of have to be mindful of this pattern. And then I pulled out, this was on my desk from a previous project, and this is one of the woven textures. So I'm going to use that as well. So I'm going to pull either some ephemera or stamps or something, and then my base page, and we can get started at making this layout. Okay, so I've gone ahead and decided to mat my photos directly across from each other. Because I didn't cut the size down that much, the lengthwise, I thought it would be better than that than create kind of an up and down look. So they're going to span the layout like this. I am going to bring out my Versamat because I need to line some things up. The Enjoy the Ride paper, there's two pieces instead of one solid piece. And so my Versamat's going to make it easier for me to get those lined up on the edge. And I think I'm going to do 1 inch from the top and 1 inch from the bottom. So I'm just going to lay my ruler right there. And then we're going to start with the skinny one. And these are 8 inches. And so I'm going to put them 2 inches from each side. So I'm just going to line them up 2 inches and 10 inches. And then do the same thing down here. Let's move my ruler down. Two inches and 10 inches. I'm not really going to press that down that much until I'm sure it's straight. So I'm just going to bring this to 10 inches, 10 inches. So we should be good. So I'm going to go ahead and give that a light press. And then this piece is going to go from edge to edge. And I don't know if I want to use this side or this side. I originally wanted this side. I think it matches the couch a little bit more, but I think this side brightens the layout up a little bit. So yeah, I think I'm going to use this one. And leaving my layout base in place, I am going to put it at 9 inches and 3.5. So it's going to be slightly larger on the bottom. No, I'd want it just a little bit larger than that. I want there to be more of a difference. So let's do 9.5 and 4. I think we're done with lining everything up, so I'm going to remove that. There are two things that I don't want to happen with this layout. Number one, I don't want it looking like a Christmas layout. And number two, I don't want it looking like a picnic layout, which, you know, you've got a whole bunch of plaids here, and especially this one. So I'm just going to kind of replace these plaids to see which one I'm liking more. I think that one has too much white. Kind of like that one. And I have it on the diagonal because I think that's what I'm going to do. But now that I'm doing it, I'm thinking the diagonal makes it look even more picnic-ish, you know, because of a tablecloth. So I'm wondering, what if I split it? I hate that I'm wasting this. So I did not add adhesive right to the edge of this just in case we want to do some sort of treatment where we fold it back or something. So, just in case. Now, as far as the ephemera, I pulled out these from Saying Something. And then I also pulled something for everything because, as you can see, my brother has a cowboy hat and one. You can't really tell from the first photo, but we were at my dad's house at his ranch, and so of course that is indicative of cowboys and cacti and all of the outdoorsy type Texas things that you probably could imagine. I'm going to leave both of those cactus out just for right now. I'm not really sure if I'm going to use both of them. I love this little painting right here. I'm going to go ahead and adhere my photo down. I did add some 3D foam tape to the back just to kind of pop it up. And I am putting it toward the bottom of this middle piece because I think my then and now is going to go right there. And then I'm going to have a little cluster of these right down here. So to act as a little frame for this, even though it would pop pretty nicely against these colors, I have the framed scene dies. This actually comes as part of a bundle, but I wasn't really, I didn't really want the stamp set, so I'm just purchasing, or I just purchased the die cut. I absolutely fell in love with this. So it is exactly the same size. And so I think I'm just going to miter all the corners. And then that will let me kind of make this a little bit smaller. I did use some 3D foam tape for the cactus and the horse. I did also look through all my stamps because, you know, that horse, number one, is random. Number two, I'm not going to color it. If you're new around here, coloring is not really something that well, no, I'm not going to say I don't enjoy it. I do enjoy it when it turns out good. It's not something that I immediately jump to do. It's something that I will avoid if I can. And so I am trying to avoid coloring this horse, but I have an idea of how I can make it look. You know, I always talk about making sure that it looks like you didn't just throw something on there as an afterthought. So I have an idea for that. I'm going to try to peel this up so I can move it over slightly. I don't really want to hide all of this. And then I am going to put howdy down here. Now that is super random, but I love it. Number one, I love the script. You're going to see the letters that I'm going to use for this and now. And so I think a script is going to be really good for that, to kind of counteract that blockiness. But also I think it just kind of finishes off this little section down here. So howdy. So my title, I'm actually using these alphabet foam stickers from my stash. Like I said, I'm going to do then and now. Making sure I have two ends here. You know, I say it all the time. One thing I love about stamps is you don't have to worry about that, because you can just stamp as many as you want. And then let's do the E. And on this side, I'm starting with the N because I want them equal distance from that seam. I'm going to come back in and put the ampersand symbol. So N, O, and W. So I'm going to pull out my embellishment organization, and I see the ampersand right here. So kind of liking that one. I wasn't even in here for this, but look at that pocket. Wish it was a different color. I also like those. I love when you go through all of your embellishments and it's like rediscovering everything. I'm just going to put this on top of here right quick so we can check it out. So there it is, or there it is. Thinking I like the green. No one needs another wood. You know, we already have the natural right here. We have a different natural right there. I don't think we need to introduce a third wood. Okay, for the most part, I've got that adhered down. I was kind of looking at it, think it needs something else like it usually does. And I thought about doing this. You know, I had to cut this little 1/2-inch piece off of this piece. And I like how this just kind of caps this off. See how it's just kind of askew, but I like that it doesn't go all the way across. And then I'm going to add some strip journaling down here, but before we do that, I'm going to deal with this. So I'm actually going to just doodle all around the edge of this layout with a 0.5 journaling pen. Now this is a journaling pen from my stash because I wanted to mimic the same thickness as this little ephemera. And my Stampin' Write black marker is just a little bit too thick. So you can see here I'm just freehanding this. And it's okay if it's not straight. And then I'm going to go back in with a second line. And on this one, I'm going to kind of use the crookedness of the lines that I already drew to keep this one straight, if that makes sense. I like that, and I think, what should I do on my little, instead of heartstrings, yeah, I think I'll do heartstrings. thinking about doing lassos, but I don't know if I even know how to do a lasso. So I already have them pre-cut, so I have a couple of large ones and then a littler one. There's not much to journal here. I am going to add the dates, I believe, right there by each photo. But I did want to include just a few spots to kind of add. Oops, that one's gonna, I don't want it to meet, I don't want any of them to start or end on the same, if that makes sense. And that one does not look straight. Okay, so let's revisit the sketch. So you can see here, I kept with this and then kind of the elongated. I didn't really do the embellishment right here. My title, there is a subtitle here, but otherwise I chose to do it across the top. But all in all, it's not my best, but I feel like it really tells the story of these photos, and I'm excited to go ahead and get them down onto a scrapbook layout, and I am going to go show my son and see what he thinks. Thanks so much for stopping by and watching. Remember, if you liked what you saw, hit that like button. Consider sharing with a friend. And you can also shop any of the links below. I have linked them if the products are still available. You'll also see a playlist for Christy's Beautiful Life, 30 Days of Sketches. You can go check out what all the other people playing along have created this month. Thanks, and y'all have a nice weekend.